Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Charlotte Rampling is a distinguished British actress and fashion icon whose career has spanned more than 5 decades, marked by fearless performances, international acclaim, and a signature enigmatic presence. Known for her work in both European and American cinema, she has established herself as a muse for auteur directors and a symbol of cerebral sensuality and emotional depth. Early life and career beginnings. Charlotte Rampling was born on February 5, 1946, in Sturmer, Essex, England. Her father was a British Army officer, and as a result, the family lived in several countries during her childhood, including France and Spain. She initially began her career as a model before transitioning to acting in the mid-1960s. Her first uncredited role was in the Knack and How to Get It, 1965. But it was her appearance in the cult comedy Georgy Girl, 1966, that began to draw attention to her unique screen presence. Rise to fame. Rampling gained international prominence in the 1970s with a series of bold and often controversial roles. One of her most talked about performances came in The Night Porter, 1974. Directed by Liliana Cavani, in which she played a Holocaust survivor engaged in a sadomasochistic relationship with her former captor. The film divided critics but cemented Rampling's reputation for choosing challenging, provocative material. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, she worked extensively in France, Italy, and the United Kingdom, becoming a major star in European arthouse cinema. Her fluency in French and effortless elegance made her a natural fit for the European screen. Notable films from this period include Max, Mon Amour, 1986, The Damned, 1969, and Farewell, My Lovely, 1975. A resilient career. Rampling's career continued to flourish into the 1990s and 2000s. She became known for her mature and introspective roles, including in François Ozon's Under the Sand, 2000, where she portrayed a woman coping with the mysterious disappearance of her husband. This performance was widely praised and led to a resurgence in her career. She reunited with Ozon in Swimming Pool, 2003, a psychological thriller that again showcased her ability to portray complex emotional states with restraint and intensity. Rampling's roles often explore themes of memory, trauma, desire, and identity. Later work and recognition. In recent years, Charlotte Rampling has continued to receive critical acclaim. Her performance in 45 Years, 2015, opposite Tom Courtenay, earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. The film, a quiet yet powerful portrait of a long-term marriage shaken by an old secret, was hailed for its subtlety and emotional richness. She also appeared in high-profile projects like The Sense of an Ending, 2017, Red Sparrow, 2018, and Denis Villeneuve's Dune, 2021, where she played the mystical Reverend Mother Mohiam. Personal life and legacy. Rampling is known for her fiercely private nature and her refusal to conform to Hollywood norms. She has spoken openly about the personal tragedies and challenges she has faced, including the suicide of her sister, which deeply affected her life and work. Throughout her career, Rampling has received numerous honors, including the Order of the British Empire, Aube, and Lifetime Achievement Awards from film festivals such as Berlin and Venice. In France, she was named Commander of the Legion of Honor. Conclusion. Charlotte Rampling is a cinematic legend, an actress of remarkable emotional intelligence, sophistication, and courage. Her ability to portray complex characters with vulnerability and poise has made her a revered figure in international cinema. From controversial classics to quiet dramas and sci-fi epics, she continues to defy expectations and captivate audiences with every performance. Charlotte Rampling's allure lies in her ability to blend vulnerability with an icy, introspective detachment. This unique presence has allowed her to portray characters who are often emotionally restrained, morally ambiguous, or psychologically haunted, roles few actresses can inhabit with such authenticity. Her work is marked by a refusal to play it safe, and her choices have continually challenged conventional ideas of femininity, aging, and sexuality. Collaborations with auteur directors throughout her career, Rampling has gravitated toward auteur filmmakers who push boundaries and explore existential themes. Her collaborations read like a who's who of cinema's most respected directors. In addition to working with Liliana Cavani and François Ozon, she has appeared in films by Luchino Visconti, The Damned, Woody Allen, Stardust Memories, 1980, Sidney Lumet, The Verdict, 1982, and Lars von Trier, Melancholia, 2011. With Ozon in particular, Rampling has forged a powerful creative partnership. Their films often delve into the psychological landscapes of mature women, exploring grief, repression, and eroticism in unconventional ways. Rampling's subtle performance style complements Ozon's often dreamlike narratives, creating work that is both intellectually rich and emotionally unsettling. Presence in French and European cinema. Charlotte Rampling is one of the rare English-speaking actresses to achieve equal, if not greater, success in European cinema than in Hollywood. Fluent in French, she has lived in Paris for much of her adult life and has appeared in numerous French-language films. This bicultural identity adds a cosmopolitan layer to her public image, and she is often seen as the epitome of European sophistication. Her elegance, style, and striking features, sharp cheekbones, soulful eyes, and her signature deep voice, have made her a fashion and cultural icon. She has worked with luxury brands like NARS, Givenchy, and Max Mara, proving that aging in the public eye can be both graceful and defiant. Television and recent roles. In the 2010s and 2020s, Rampling has expanded into television, notably playing the morally complex Evelyn Vogel in the final season of Dexter and taking a central role in the Netflix series Broadchurch Season 2. She also appeared in the Italian series DNA, 2020, showing a continued commitment to diverse international projects. In Dune, 2021, she played the formidable Reverend Mother Mohiam with steely authority and an air of mystery. Though a supporting role, her performance stood out, introducing her to a new generation of viewers. Awards and honors. Over her long career, Rampling has accumulated a host of accolades: Academy Award nomination 45 years, 2015, Silver Bear for Best Actress 45 years, Berlin International Film Festival Lifetime Achievement Awards, from Berlin, European Film Awards, and the Venice Film Festival Commander of the Order of the British Empire, CBE, for services to the arts. Chevalier and Commander of the Légion d'honneur, France's highest civil distinction. Philosophy and influence. Rampling's acting philosophy is rooted in introspection and emotional truth. She often speaks of drawing from personal memory and private pain to inform her roles, lending her performances a depth that transcends the script. She is an artist who thrives in ambiguity, who finds beauty and meaning in silences, glances, and unresolved feelings. Her impact on the film world extends beyond her performances. She has influenced younger generations of actresses, such as Tilda Swinton and Isabel Huppert, who, like Rampling, embrace complex characters and resist easy categorization. Conclusion. Charlotte Rampling remains a singular figure in global cinema, a fearless performer who has consistently chosen depth over commercial appeal and integrity over ease. Whether she's playing a grieving widow, a calculating noblewoman, or a haunted lover, she brings an intensity and elegance that captivates audiences and elevates every project she touches. In an industry obsessed with youth and predictability, Rampling stands as a beacon of artistic risk and emotional truth, an enduring symbol of cinema's ability to explore the human soul. A face of ambiguity and strength, Charlotte Rampling's screen presence is defined by a profound emotional ambiguity. She has long resisted clear-cut roles or performances that rely on conventional sentimentality. Her characters often live in a moral gray zone, wounded, reflective, dignified, and sometimes cold, but always deeply human. Whether playing a Holocaust survivor in The Night Porter, a grieving academic in Under the Sand, or a wife shaken by buried secrets in 45 Years. Rampling embodies characters who exist between extremes, love and detachment, power and vulnerability, silence and expression. This ambiguity has become her hallmark. She once described herself as being drawn to roles where the character holds something back, a quiet power that becomes more commanding as it simmers beneath the surface. Her acting is a study in restraint. With a glance or pause, she can convey volumes more than many can with pages of dialogue. Tragedy, loss, and the personal dimension. Rampling's life has been marked by private tragedy that has shaped her worldview and her work. Most notably, the suicide of her older sister Sarah in 1966 had a deep and lasting effect. Rampling rarely spoke of it for decades, and the silence surrounding the event profoundly influenced her interior life and artistic expression. In her 2017 memoir Who I Am, she opened up about the impact of that trauma, as well as the existential questions it sparked. She has also endured public scrutiny and the burden of fame while maintaining a fierce independence. Unlike many of her peers, she has never fully embraced Hollywood, nor has she pursued a celebrity lifestyle. Instead, she has spent much of her life in France, living a relatively quiet and private life, even as she remained a towering figure in the European arts scene. Relationships and personal identity. Rampling was married to New Zealand actor and publicist Brian Southcombe in the 1970s. And together they had a son, Barnaby Southcombe, who later became a film director. She was later in a long-term relationship with French composer Jean-Michel Jarre, which ended publicly and painfully. Despite these relationships, she has often spoken of solitude and introspection as essential to her creative process. She has also challenged gender norms and traditional views of aging. Rampling has been celebrated for continuing to take on provocative roles well into her 60s and 70s, defying the industry's tendency to relegate older women to the sidelines. Rather than playing maternal or ornamental characters, she has continued to embody fully realized women with intelligence, complexity, and often unresolved emotional histories. Iconography and fashion. Charlotte Rampling has long been admired not only for her acting but also for her striking beauty and fashion sense. Her style, minimalist, masculine, effortlessly elegant, has made her a muse for designers and photographers alike. She became a favorite subject of Helmut Newton, who captured her sensual, enigmatic persona in some of the most iconic fashion photography of the 1970s. Her look, a combination of intensity and poise, transcended typical beauty standards. Rampling's presence has always hinted at something deeper, even slightly dangerous, which made her an icon of cool detachment and timeless grace. A legacy beyond the screen. Charlotte Rampling's influence extends far beyond film. She represents an ideal of the European intellectual actress, fluent in multiple languages, well-read, and comfortable in both experimental art films and classic literature adaptations. She has lent her talents to theater, music, and visual art collaborations, appearing in avant-garde works and participating in retrospectives and exhibitions. In recent years, her continued relevance in contemporary cinema has been nothing short of remarkable. Few actors of her generation have remained so active and daring. She is regularly cast in projects that require gravitas, nuance, and a commanding sense of mystery. An enduring enigma, Rampling's career resists easy categorization. She is not a traditional leading lady, nor is she a character actor in the conventional sense. She exists in a rare space between the two, simultaneously accessible and elusive, emotionally raw yet elegantly contained. She doesn't explain her characters to the audience. She invites them into the emotional fog where real human complexity lives. Her work challenges viewers to think and feel in less comfortable ways. That is her genius. Charlotte Rampling doesn't provide answers. She offers questions, shadows, silence. And in doing so, she has earned her place as one of the most essential and fearless actresses in the history of cinema. An actress of the mind and body, Charlotte Rampling has always brought a cerebral quality to her performances, but it's never divorced from the physical. In fact, one of her trademarks is the seamless blend of thought and sensuality. She often plays women who are physically present but emotionally veiled, their internal turmoil suggested by a clenched jaw, a distant stare, or the way they hold themselves in space. Her willingness to explore the uncomfortable terrain of human experience, grief, obsession, shame, and eroticism, has resulted in work that is consistently brave and sometimes unsettling. She once said, "I'm interested in danger. Not physical danger but emotional danger. That's where truth often lies." Key film performances. Deep dives: The Night Porter, 1974, Dur. Liliana Cavani. This role remains Rampling's most infamous and perhaps most misunderstood. As Lucia, a concentration camp survivor who rekindles a sadomasochistic relationship with her former captor, Rampling explores the thin line between trauma and desire. The film caused outrage but also admiration for her emotional honesty. Her performance is not about shock, it's about the way trauma can fracture identity and morality. Under the Sand, 2000, Dur. Françoise Ozon. Rampling plays a woman who, even in her later years, Rampling shows no signs of artistic stagnation. Her recent credits include Dune, 2021, as the Reverend Mother Mohiam. She brought chilling gravitas to the Bene Gesserit matriarch. Juniper, 2021, a small, poignant drama where she plays a grandmother reconnecting with her estranged grandson. Everything Went Fine, 2021, another collaboration with Ozon, where she plays a woman facing assisted suicide. Her performance was praised for its complexity and refusal to sentimentalize. Legacy. Charlotte Rampling's career is not defined by mainstream hits or blockbuster stardom. Instead, it is defined by truth, courage, and a refusal to conform. She has carved out a space entirely her own, where thought and feeling merge, where beauty and pain coexist, and where cinema becomes something deeper than entertainment. She is, quite simply, one of the most quietly revolutionary actresses the screen has ever known. The artist as icon. Charlotte Rampling's significance extends beyond the realm of performance. She is, in many ways, a living symbol. Few actresses have managed to remain so relevant, so revered, and so continuously interesting without ever chasing fame or changing who they are to suit an era. From the 1960s swinging London scene to the 2020s arthouse revival, she has moved through time like a chameleon, not by altering her appearance or personality, but by remaining uncompromising in her choices. She has aged on-screen unapologetically. refusing the cosmetic interventions so common in Hollywood, and allowed her face to evolve with time, an act of rebellion in itself. This act, aging naturally in a youth-obsessed industry, has given her late performances even greater emotional power. Her lined face and piercing eyes suggest layers of untold stories. The residue of a life fully lived, a career that has never settled. Muse for photographers and designers, Rampling's allure caught the attention of the fashion world early on. She became a favorite subject for iconic photographers such as Helmut Newton, known for stylized, erotic imagery. Newton photographed Rampling as a figure of both power and vulnerability. One of his most famous portraits of her is from 1973. She sits nude on a table in a dimly lit Paris hotel, cigarette in hand, unguarded but commanding. Jürgen Teller, Peter Lindbergh, Paolo Roversi, these photographers used Rampling's features, not just her beauty, but her emotional expressiveness, to tell complex visual stories. She has been a brand ambassador and model for several fashion houses even into her 70s. Notably, she fronted campaigns for NARS, Givenchy, Max Mara, and Marc Jacobs. Her style, classic, androgynous, often monochrome, conveys not just elegance but a sharp intellect. A European star who transcends borders though British by birth. Rampling has lived for decades in France and remains far more embedded in the European cinematic tradition than in Hollywood. She speaks fluent French and has worked with directors from France, Italy, Germany, Denmark, and beyond. European filmmakers are drawn to her for her ability to suggest inner life without exposition. There's a quality in her performances that resists explanation, something purely cinematic. In France, she is considered one of their own. She was awarded the Chevalier and later Commander of the Légion d'honneur, France's highest honors, and regularly appears at Cannes, Venice, and Berlin. Themes in her work: memory, identity, and death. Rampling's career could be read as an ongoing meditation on memory and identity. From Under the Sand to 45 Years to Hannah, 2017. She plays women who are confronting the erosion or collapse of identity, whether through grief, aging, betrayal, or isolation. Death is a recurring subject in her work, but it is never treated simplistically. In Hannah, for example, she plays a woman whose husband is imprisoned for a terrible crime. Much of the film unfolds in silence, as she wanders through a life stripped of its familiar structure. Rampling's performance is internalized and aching, a portrait of someone who no longer knows who she is. This existential gravity permeates her work, especially in later years. She doesn't offer comforting narratives or emotional catharsis. Instead, her characters often live in emotional limbo, forcing audiences to sit with uncertainty. This is what makes her so essential. Reflections on art and aging. In interviews, Rampling has spoken thoughtfully about mortality, beauty, and artistic evolution. Some quotes that reveal her philosophy: beauty has never been about perfection. It's about presence. And presence requires honesty. We don't need to be understood all the time. Mystery is part of life. It should be part of cinema too. Aging doesn't make me feel invisible. It makes me more aware of what matters. These reflections aren't marketing soundbites, they are woven into her career. Unlike actresses who fade from view as they age, Rampling seems to deepen. She acts as though time is her co-star, not her enemy. Charlotte Rampling's cultural legacy: an actress of intellectual weight, she's not a performer who seeks to entertain or seduce the audience. She challenges them to see and feel differently. A model of artistic integrity, Rampling has never diluted her work for mainstream success. Her name is a guarantee of psychological complexity and artistic risk. A feminist without labels. While she doesn't openly champion feminism, her career, with its independence, bold choices, and refusal to disappear, stands as a quiet but potent feminist statement. A European screen legend, like Jeanne Moreau, Monica Vitti, or Liv Ullmann. She represents a generation of actresses who made cinema a place for deep thought and emotion, not just plot and spectacle. Final thoughts. Charlotte Rampling is one of the most essential figures in modern cinema, not because of any one role, but because of the totality of her presence across time. She has shown what it means to be a serious artist in a commercial medium, what it means to endure in an industry built on disposability, and what it means to embrace the dark, unknowable corners of the human psyche. She is not just an actress. She is a force, a study in stillness, truth, and the long shadow of memory. The evolution of Charlotte Rampling, decade by decade 1960s. The cool outsider emerges. Charlotte Rampling began her career in an era of British cultural upheaval. After debuting in the Knack, and How to Get It, 1965, and gaining attention with Georgy Girl, 1966, she became a symbol of the swinging 60s. But unlike many contemporaries, she didn't embrace flower child optimism. Her gaze, her voice, her attitude, they all carried a dissonant stillness. Even in her youth, there was something reserved and watchful about her. She never played ingenues. She played women who were already aware of the cost of being seen. 1970s, fearless and controversial. This was the decade that truly defined her. The Damned, 1969. Visconti set the stage for her descent into dark, complex narratives. Then came The Night Porter, 1974, which exploded her into international infamy. The film's blend of eroticism and Holocaust imagery was condemned and celebrated in equal measure. Instead of recoiling, Rampling leaned in. She followed up with daring roles in Zardoz, 1974. Farewell, My Lovely, 1975, and Max, Mon Amour, 1986, where she played a woman in love with a chimpanzee, directed by Nagisa Oshima. Always attracted to the taboo, she approached even the absurd with a straight face and a serious heart. 1980s to 1990s, reinvention and refinement. Rampling worked with auteur directors and maintained her status as a cinematic enigma. She moved between French and English language projects. In Angel Heart, 1987, she played a mysterious Southern woman in a psychological horror thriller. In The Verdict, 1982, opposite Paul Newman, she gave a brief but piercing performance. But during this period, Rampling also pulled away from acting, retreating from the spotlight for personal reasons. The suicide of her sister and struggles with depression shaped this time. When she returned to the screen, she brought with her a new kind of maturity, an actor no longer seeking roles, but speaking through them. 2000s, a master at work. This decade marked a renaissance. François Ozon's Under the Sand, 2000, reintroduced Rampling as a powerful, restrained performer capable of holding the screen alone. Swimming Pool, 2003, confirmed her renewed cinematic vitality, sexy, cerebral, and utterly commanding. She began to attract directors looking for emotional truth rather than box office appeal. Her presence alone gave films a kind of quiet authority. 2010s to 2020s. The Oracle of Ambiguity in 45 Years, 2015, Rampling gave one of the greatest performances of her life, quiet, interior, devastating. As a woman who discovers her husband's past still haunts their marriage, she barely speaks. Her emotions live in pauses, glances, the sudden stilling of her body. The Academy finally took notice, nominating her for Best Actress at age 69. She continued working into her 70s, in Hannah, 2017, Juniper, 2021, and Everything Went Fine, 2021. She played women confronting the ends of things, identity, love, life, with total honesty. She also appeared in Dune, 2021, bringing regal menace to the Reverend Mother Mohiam. Balance scale controversy and complexity. Rampling has occasionally sparked public backlash, most notably for her 2016 comments during the #OscarsSoWhite controversy, where she questioned whether the diversity debate was racist to whites. She later clarified her statement, but the moment reignited questions about her public persona. Is she cold, out of touch, or simply unwilling to conform to public expectation? To some, she's a provocateur. To others, she's simply someone who refuses to speak in tidy slogans. Even her political correctness, or lack thereof, becomes part of her mystique. Quarter Moon Rampling and the cinematic taboo more than any other actress of her generation. Charlotte Rampling has stared unflinchingly into cultural taboos, sex and violence, the night porter, Max, mon amour, incest and trauma, the damned erotic ambiguity in older age, swimming pool, 45 years silence as defiance, Under the Sand, Hannah. She never justifies these roles. She simply inhabits them, a performer with no desire to moralize, only to reflect. Mirror a living paradox. Charlotte Rampling is the kind of figure who disappears into her roles but also seems to carry herself, fully intact, into every frame. She is at once vulnerable and aloof, grounded and ghostly, elegant and brutal. She has no vanity in front of the camera, and yet she radiates beauty. She avoids sentimentality, and yet her work is deeply emotional. She seems more modern at 78 than most actors in their 30s. Perhaps this paradox is what makes her essential. She represents the unknowable aspects of womanhood, the shadows of the soul, and the dignity of never fully revealing oneself. Trophy accolades and recognition. Academy Award nominee 45 years, Silver Bear for Best Actress 45 years. Berlin International Film Festival César Award nominee, multiple times. Commander of the Légion d'honneur, France's highest order honorary César Award, Lifetime Achievement European Film Awards, for lifetime contribution to cinema.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.